Well, events can be scary, can't they? And executing the events effectively takes a certain amount of mental ability, mental fortitude and mental skills. I can think of one athlete that I've worked with this season found it very difficult to actually get to the start line because they weren't sure whether they could overcome the gremlins in the head. I don't know if you've heard me speak about Steve Peters, and he likes his gremlins and his autopilots, which are a really good way to look at gremlins being things that have been put into your mind over time that are unhelpful thoughts, and autopilots are things that we can put into our what's known as our computer, put into our mind as automatic responses to avoid those gremlins taking over and move us forward effectively to successful sporting performances. I'm going to talk about a few ideas that can be useful. I won't be able to go into them in detail, but if you subscribe to the channel, then you'll get to know about videos that I do on the specific psychological mental skills that give you a much better, more thorough description of what to do. Firstly, a really useful thing is a winning image, and it's a tool that you can use to bring confidence. It can help you in an event if you're having a difficult time. For instance, if you're doing a long event and you're having a really bad patch, you can invoke this winning image, and that can help you get through the difficult patch and move you forward. And also it can motivate you to get out training and various other things. So what's a winning image? Winning image is just an image of yourself being successful, having a successful outcome. So an effective way to do this is to think of a time that you had a success and think about how that felt, invoke as many feelings as you can, how it felt, what things were around you, could you hear certain things, make the colours a lot brighter, all the basic things that you do to make an image more vivid. So it's not just a visual image, it's use all your senses. Did you feel a certain warmth? Was it a warm day? Was it cold? Did you feel a breeze on your body? And that type of thing. And get that feeling into your body. Close your eyes, that can help you sort of develop the image more clearly. And then think about the event, your goal event, and think about the successful outcome in that event. So imagine yourself crossing the finish line perhaps, what it's going to feel like. Imagine yourself having that feeling, the winning feeling, the great feeling that you've just developed as you cross the finish line, as you complete your event. How great is it going to be? And if you practice that visualization, you'll start to implant that winning image in your mind, and you can draw on that when you need to. So for instance, if you're having a bad patch, you can think, oh well, what's my winning image, and bring that into your mind, and that'll make you feel happier and stronger and fitter and much more confident. What you can also do is anchor that image. So if you an anchor I like to use is just crossing my first two fingers, and that works well for me, but it's better to come up with something that works for you. But bear in mind that the situation that you're going to be doing it in. So if you're going to be doing it while you're riding a bike, you don't want to be sort of clapping your hands or whatever. It's got to be something that you can easily do while you're performing the activity where you might need to use it. And the way you anchor the feeling is you first practice it like I've just described, and then you anchor it by you do what your anchor is. So for me, I'll cross my fingers, and then I'd visualize the winning image, and then as I associate these two, the physical anchor and the winning image, when I start to do the physical anchor, then the winning image comes up, and the feelings of the winning image. And that way, it's like it's NLP basically. It's a technique from NLP adapted a little bit, and I first learnt it on a sports hypnosis course in, I don't know, somewhere in the south of England, and I found it to be one of the most effective mental skills to help my athletes with. So you can use this winning image to get rid of negative self-talk. Negative self-talk is when you're saying bad things about yourself, or talking negatively about maybe your ability to complete a certain event, or your ability to beat a certain person, or these types of things, or even before the event. You might talk negatively about your training or your fitness and things like that. And obviously that's not a very helpful thing for you. You can use a thing called the stop-clap technique. And it's really a case of, the way it works is that you're disrupting your thoughts. So you're disrupting these negative thoughts. But if you don't have something to replace those negative thoughts, then they'll just come back. So you need to have some positive thoughts. So it takes a bit of homework. You have to spend some time. And so the way to do it is make a list of all the negative thoughts you might have and replace them, have some positive things, positive examples that go with them. It might be that, oh, there's no way I'll be able to finish this race or this event. And then you'll say, well, actually, I've done this distance before. I know I can do this. I know I can keep going. I know I can do my best. It might not be the outcome. Things might go wrong, as they can easily do in sporting events. But I know that I can do my best, and there's a reasonably good chance that I will finish because I know that I'm fit. So you're basically making a positive thing to refute the negative thing. So you're disrupting the negative thoughts, and then what you do is you then invoke your winning image. So that's bringing up positive feelings, and then you go on to think through your list of positive thoughts, your positive self-talk. So you bring into positive self-talk, and you can have cards with you to think, oh, I'm having negative thoughts, have some cue cards and say, oh, actually, these are my positive thoughts. Say you're traveling to an event and you have to stay overnight and you're having negative thoughts. You can use this technique, and then you can actually use some physical things. You could write things on your bars. One of the people I worked with wrote, she was a runner, and she wrote a slogan on her arm so that she could refer to it during the race, and it said, you're much better than you think you are, and that worked really well for her, and she ended up qualifying to run for Great Britain in the World Mountain Running Championships. So that was a real success. You learn to spot when the negative thoughts are coming. It's called the stop clap technique. So clap, or if you can't clap, so if you're riding a bike, you might not be able to clap, but you can shout to yourself. You shout stop, or it's better if you do something physical, but if you want to just do it internally, that's okay. And then visualize a big stop sign. Don't shut your eyes if you're cycling. It's not the safest thing to do. Visualize this stop sign, then bring in your winning image, and then think your positive thoughts. And you might have to do it several times. The more you practice it, the better you'll get. It's the same with the winning image. The more you practice it, the better you'll get. And if you don't practice it, it'll just disappear. And getting back to the gremlins and autopilots type idea, things I like to do with athletes before an event is, and actually if you do need a one-to-one coach, or you want to book a consultation, then I'm available for that. I have some spaces for athletes at the moment. If you want to sign up for a coaching package, I'd love to work with you. And obviously, if you like these videos, please subscribe and like. If something unexpected goes wrong, then a great thing to do is accept that you panic and move on with a plan. This is another Steve Peters thing, AMP. It's normal if something goes wrong and you're in the process of doing something that's important to you to panic a bit and your emotional side takes over. But just wait till that's disappeared, and then wait till you've exhausted your chimp, if you want to use the chimp paradox. Wait until your emotions have died down a bit. You might take a few minutes and then think about what you're going to do, rather than panic and try and do something quickly. I was talking to somebody on Monday night actually at our group Zoom meeting, and he was saying how he'd fallen off his bike in a cyclocross, and he ended up getting all tangled with his bike and taking much longer than he would have had to get back on and get back into the race. Whereas if he'd been much more confident and composed with the situation and taken a few seconds, accepted it was going to take him time to get going again, he would have been much quicker. And what he'd actually done after the event was he'd watched a professional race, and he'd noticed that that's what the pros do. They're on the floor for a bit of time, they compose themselves, work out what's going on, and then get back up and get on, and usually they get back into the race. Another really effective method is modelling. So a really good way to develop a skill in something or get better at something is to find somebody else who's good at it and do it in the same way that they do. But in a similar way, you can use visualizations for modelling. And this works really well as some sort of like a self-hypnosis. So you can have what's known as the induction phase, and then the start at what's maybe known as pacing, as you move forward into the visualization, and then you can start to address the thing that you want to address. So an example might be, if you don't feel you're very good at riding up hills, you could, and you know somebody who is good at riding up hills. It's quite often a good idea if it's an idol. So a good person like Geraint Thomas, a lot of people like Geraint Thomas. He's good at riding up hills. He won the Tour de France. So you might watch some videos of him if he's a particular hero. In fact, one of the people I coach, and actually Mark Cavendish, is a real hero of hers, although you might not want to use him to model riding up hills. And the way I often start this induction is that you rest by a stream in a nice warm day, and you can visualise yourself lying there, your bike's next to you, it's all very safe and you're nice and comfortable. And then your hero comes along and says, hey, do you want to go for a ride? And you start riding together and you start to pace, your cadence synchronises and you're chatting happily. And then you get to a hill, if it's a hill that you want to, if it's hill climbing you want to get better at, and you just drift into riding up that hill at the same pace, and you're still chatting and comfortable, and you start to notice the good things. You notice the cadence is good, you notice that you're enjoying it, you notice that you're getting a good pace, you've got a good feeling, and all the things that are good about riding up hills, all the effective things, nice cadence, nice pace, breathing comfortably and relaxed and not pushing too hard. And if you practice that visualization, these skills will come into your actual riding. You can practice them while you're riding and practice that feeling when you're riding. Even if you're spending a lot of time on the indoor trainer, as it's winter here in the Northern Hemisphere at the moment, you can practice that feeling when you're actually riding, and even practice the visualization. You can imagine, if you're on an indoor trainer, you can close your eyes and imagine that your hero is riding next to you. And that's a great way to develop both your fitness and your riding skills. So I hope you found this useful, and I'll see you next video. Bye.